The Renaissance, recalling the ghosts of Rome. Part 1. A world in the dark. For 10 centuries, Europe lived in the wreckage of a titan. The Roman Empire hadn't just collapsed, it had vanished, leaving behind a continent of illiterate warlords and a church that viewed the ancient world as a pagan graveyard. To the person living in 1400, the colossal aqueducts and ruined forums weren't history, they were the work of giants or demons. But the Dark Ages weren't just dark because of a lack of light. They were dark because the how-to manual for civilization had been lost. Science, engineering, and the very concept of human potential were buried under 1,000 years of grime. This isn't a story about pretty paintings. This is the record of a high-stakes heist, a group of obsessed bankers, thieves, and visionaries who decided to rob the grave of Rome to build a future they weren't supposed to have. Part 2. The Medici Shark. Enter Florence, 1469. The air smells of river silt and unwashed wool. In the center of the chaos sits the Medici Bank. This wasn't a respectable institution in the modern sense. It was a financial superpower that held the heart of Europe in a velvet-covered iron fist. Lorenzo de' Medici, known as the Magnificent, didn't come from old nobility. He came from money, new, aggressive, dirty money. The church still preached that lending money for interest was a sin that would lead straight to hell. Lorenzo didn't care. He knew that gold was just a tool, and he was about to use it to buy something much more valuable than land. He was going to buy the truth. While other kings spent their fortunes on vanity wars, the Medici spent theirs on a cultural Manhattan project. They hired researchers to act as intellectual mercenaries, scouring the corners of the known world for anything the ancients had left behind. Part 3. Finding the Ghosts. History is written by the victors, but it's hidden by the terrified. Scholars like Poggio Bracciolini were the Indiana Jones of the 15th century, but without the whip. In 1417, Bracciolini was trekking through the freezing German wilderness, digging through the dead zones of Benedictine monasteries. He wasn't looking for Bibles, he was looking for the forbidden tech. In a forgotten moldy nook in a German cellar, he found it. De Rerum Natura, on the nature of things. It was a lost manuscript by Lucretius, detailing the atomic theory and the pursuit of happiness. It was a cognitive bomb. It suggested that the world wasn't just a place of suffering before heaven, but a mechanism of atoms and joy. Bracciolini didn't just study these books, he liberated them. He bribed monks, stole scrolls, and smuggled ideas across borders like contraband. He knew that every page he rescued was a brick in the wall of a new world. Part 4. Art as the ultimate propaganda. But how do you sell ancient philosophy to a population that can't read? You don't give them a book, you give them a vision. Lorenzo de' Medici realized that art was the most powerful weapon in his arsenal. He didn't just support artists, he weaponized them. He took a teenage Michelangelo into his palace, sat him at his dinner table, and fed him a diet of Plato and Greek sculpture. The goal wasn't decoration, it was a massive branding campaign for the human race. Look at Botticelli's Primavera or The Birth of Venus. These weren't just pretty ladies, they were sophisticated advertisements for the idea that beauty, sex, and nature were divine. In an era where the church taught that the body was a vessel of sin, the Renaissance artists showed the body as a temple of power. It was a radical, dangerous shift in the realism of the human experience. Part 5. Building the Utopia. While the artists were painting the ideal, the architects were building it. Men like Brunelleschi and Alberti looked at the crumbling ruins of Roman arches and realized that the Dark Ages had simply forgotten how to build. They didn't just want bigger churches, they wanted cities that functioned. They obsessively calculated the width of a street, the height of a fountain, and the human scale of a square. They believed that if you lived in a city of order and beauty, you would become a person of order and beauty. It was a social experiment on a massive scale. They were trying to cure the public squalor of the medieval world with private opulence put on public display. They built for the human, not just the humble. Conclusion. The lesson of the ruins. The Renaissance eventually ended. The Medici Bank collapsed, the wars returned, and the fervor cooled. But the realism they unlocked never went back into the bottle. They proved that civilization isn't a gift, it's a choice. It's a choice to look at the ruins of those who came before us and ask, how did they do it? And how can we do it better? Thanks for watching.